Hello everyone, it's Yvonne back to do your bonus read for the 27th of April. So I'm going to just see how the bonus read goes this morning, because I have a feeling you're getting very deep messages today about your own healing and your self-work. I'm using the Cosmic Tarot here, if you wonder what card I'm using. Okay, so we have the card of Justice coming out. Now, the Justice card can be about legal justice. I always say that. I don't want to discount that you may be dealing with courts at the moment, because that's so important to say. The Justice card is always about something being put right in the universe. So, you know, if we've been robbed by someone, or something's been taken from us and the police catch the person who's taken that, then that is itself legal justice. When it's karmic justice, sometimes we do all the right things, or what we believe are the right things, and we live a good life, but maybe somebody doesn't return to us what we've put out. Now, some people believe that that's karma is somebody coming back to do the same thing to you, and it doesn't necessarily work that way. What karma is about is you always putting out good and expecting to receive good back again, which doesn't always happen. So when the karma card comes in, sometimes that means that you are going to receive what was rightfully yours to start with. Sometimes we can pull karma from past lives. Sometimes we can be carrying around the karma from our ancestors. So, for example, we may have a lot of personal issues that we need to work through that we've actually inherited from our families, that has been passed down through generations as a way of living, as a way of being, as a way of doing, not necessarily the right way of doing things. And we have to work out then how to put that karma right by changing the way we do things. That might be changing our approach to relationships. It might be changing our approach to the way we do something. But in putting that right, we actually put right generations of karma that has sat wrongly, incorrectly. Okay, so the Eight of Swords is behind this. Now, the Eight of Swords is about keeping yourself trapped in a prison. It's a prison of your own thinking. It's the energy you create when you overthink something and then you can't do something because you're stuck thinking about it rather than taking action. Now, this can be that you're worried about doing it because you don't want to create conflict. It could be worried about doing it because you don't like hurting other people. All of those things can't really hold you back. They may for a little while, but eventually you have to do something. Now, for some people, this might be going forward and still not doing something about it. It may be just trying to get on with your life, going into denial and letting it go. And that's not really the answer here, because the swords are asking you to express yourself, to speak up, to say something, to do something. Now, behind that, we have the Four of Wands. What I'm seeing here is some of you have created some sort of energy around you by avoiding, by being in denial, by not seeing things as they truly are. And this is the karma that may have created in this lifetime, but it could also be with the way you've been taught to handle things, the way you've been taught to manage things. So it may be when you're upset or you're angry that you go inside rather than expressing yourself to someone. And that in itself can create karma for you, because the idea is you need to speak up, you need to say something. But a lot of people are told from early childhood, not to make waves, to treat people more be more respectful of others than yourself. So therefore you do not express yourself well. Now, something here is happening because there seems to be this sort of feeling that you are working towards stability here. You're working towards something here. You have someone here in your future who is going to help you work on this energy to release you from this karma that's holding you back. So in theory, you've got someone coming in here who's going to offer you some sort of answer here to help you see your stability more clearly and help you sort of rid yourself of this energy of the past. I have a feeling it might be similar to the What's Cracking reading, but it sort of feels a little different. little different energy. Okay, so we have the Queen of Swords coming in here. So representing Libra, Gemini and Aquarius. The Queen of Swords as a character is very direct. She doesn't hold back. She has her sword ready and she's ready to talk, speak up, sound her voice, cut people out. She's very assertive. She thinks logically. She doesn't think with her emotion. So if something's not right, she addresses it. This is the complete opposite to the Eight of Swords energy, because it's taking your power back. It's doing what you need to do rather than getting yourself entrapped in a thought or an idea rather than addressing it. Four of Pentacles is coming in here. So this talks here about things that you're holding on to that no longer serve you. The Queen of Swords is saying we need to cut these out now. We need to do away with them. They no longer serve us as people. These are thoughts and ideas that we've kept ourselves trapped by in the past that we now need to let go of. Yeah, look at this, Five of Swords, walking away from things. Not necessarily feeling good about walking away, not necessarily feeling that we've achieved something, but we have, because we've let go of something. Now, the swords very much represent logical ideas. They are, you know, very straightforward ideas. There's no emotion in them. So what you're in effect doing here is doing things from logic rather than emotion. So detaching from your emotions to do this. When you're in that Eight of Swords energy, that's all you're doing is going round and round in your head thinking. So the universe is saying here, you need to be able to snap out of that. You need to speak up, say what you need to say, and you need to move away from things that no longer serve you. So the Five of Swords is very much the energy of walking away from a battle. You didn't necessarily win the war, but you're walking away from things that no longer serve you here. Okay, and look, bringing in this beautiful balance here, Six of Pentacles. So if you are feeling that your life is out of balance, like you may be one of those people who avoids conflict with others because you don't like the conflict, you don't like the fighting. And the thing is, conflict is a part of life. It's a part of who we are and what we do. It's not nice. Nobody feels comfortable expressing themselves, feeling they're going to hurt someone else. But at the end of the day, you've got to do that. You can't hold back, because when you hold back from expressing yourself, you start to create the pain within you, which starts to make you question who you are then. So that's not helpful either. It actually wears down your confidence. Queen of Pentacles coming out here. Princess of Cups. Some of you are arguing with family here. King of Pentacles. Okay, so some of you may be having issues with family members, people around you. You may be finding that things are coming to a head with your family because you're not expressing yourself. It sort of brings to mind that something that's just happened very recently, where a person said to me that once they started to speak up, their family started to really buck up against them. And that's because if you've been quiet for a long time and taking all of the, you know, things they've been saying and the things they're doing and staying trapped in that Eight of Swords energy, and then you start to speak out, people start to question who you are. So you see lots of anger and upset because you're the one that's changing. It makes them feel uncomfortable. If they've been able to manipulate you and get you to do things a certain way for such a long time, that will aggravate them and make them angry. Here I see you dealing with people in your family. I see you dealing with friends. This is something that's going to change once you start to understand who you are and start to speak up, because people are not used to you being that way, which they find uncomfortable. You won't, because you're going to get so used to using your voice. You're going to have a very different understanding once you let go of this past energy that's held you back. All right, so the Wheel of Fortune's coming out here with the Star. Okay, so the universe is saying here it's time. You've got to stop running round and round in this energy of doing the same thing over and over again and expecting a different result. Now, I have a very good example of that. You know, every time someone creates conflict, you stand there and then in the end you agree and you walk away without saying anything. And then you go home and you get in that Eight of Swords energy of going round and round. Why didn't I say this? This is what I could have said. This is what I should have done. Round and round and round, but you still don't address it. And eventually that starts to wear you down. That affects your confidence, your self-esteem, who you are as a person. This is past energy holding you back. Who told you you couldn't speak up? Who told you you weren't allowed to create conflict? Who told you you weren't allowed to stick up for yourself? Who told you that you had to be bullied and pushed around by others? Someone's taught you that. And you're working with unteaching yourself this now. And I think that people close to you are starting to understand that you are changing. You're going through some sort of awakening here, which means that you are going to start waking up and starting to speak up for yourself. People will not get it. People will fight you because they want you to stay where you are, because you were more of a benefit to them when you done as you were told and you got back in your box. So this is part of your destiny. You're unfolding exactly as you should. You are certainly moving in the right direction. The universe is giving you a little bit of a nudge here because perhaps you weren't getting the messages through, but now you've started to do the self-work. You're starting to understand the messages. You are starting to clear this karma. You are starting to clear the karma. 8 of Swords moving away, 4 of Wands coming in, starting to work on something. And I feel very strongly somebody here is going to help you move forward on your journey. So maybe you've got to a certain point in the way, but now you need someone to sort of give you that last push. Sometimes it comes through as a gift. Sometimes it comes through as a message. Sometimes somebody says something inadvertently to you and it makes you realize that the journey you're traveling on and this awakening that you're going through is part of who you are meant to be. It's part of your healing. It's part of your journey here. But see, there's only so far you can go on your own, because sometimes you lose faith and belief in yourself, which is what the Star card's all about. So the universe may come in and give you a little bit of a push forward. But I feel that you're having some issues and problems with people around you because you're doing this change. And the Hierophant jumped out on me. I was going to clarify. The Hierophant is a card of stability, but it's also the card of tradition, doing things a certain way. And I feel like while this card is bringing in stability, it's also saying to you, you can't do things the same way anymore. You've got to allow this energy to pass. Just because you've been taught to do it this way doesn't mean it's right. This is now bringing in this stability that you require. But don't forget, this is a way of doing things that you've been taught that no longer serves you. May have done when you were younger, if you wanted to avoid conflict. But all it does is it makes us angry and resentful because we're constantly in that energy of going round and round without speaking up. Okay. Oh, very nice, because it talks about detachment, the Arrow Master. And that's what I always say to people. Detach from your situation. Have a look at it. Does it really give you what you want? Take your emotions out of the situation. Okay, so the Arrow Master. The Arrow Master appears to help you target your intentions and teaches you how to shoot straight for the stars. The message is to be deliberate about focusing your dreams and desires with intention and about aligning your intention with spirit. Then let them fly on the wind directed by the divine until they reach your goal. The only way to hit the target is to allow the arrow of your intention to fly unencumbered by your eagerness to see it travel exactly the way you want it to go. No control, folks. You may think it needs to veer a certain way to reach your goal, but the invisible realms, human power cannot make this happen. The divine has its own idea of how the arrow flies and upon which wind it's carried. Nonetheless, if you don't shoot, you'll never score. This is a fortunate message as long as you remember the law of detachment. If you do, then be assured you're right on point. So detachment talks about taking your emotions out of a situation and just allowing the situation to unfold as it should. When you get the Swords energy up, and it talks about understanding how to speak up, how to have clarity. Sometimes you have to take the emotions of fearing conflict or fearing some sort of repercussions for doing it out of the question. You've got to move them away and you've got to do what you believe is right. But you're learning. It's beautiful because you're starting to find yourself here, which I think a lot of people are working towards. So it's beautiful reading. Thank you.